The Buyer Utility Map was introduced by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne in 2000 in the article Knowing a Winning Business Idea When You See One in the Harvard Business Review. Identifying which business ideas have real commercial potential is one of the most difficult challenges that executives face. A common trap is that the management focuses on a product's technical possibilities. Instead, they must focus on the product's utility to identify where and how the new product or service will change the customer's lives. It is less about a product's technical possibilities and more about its customer utility. The Buyer Utility Map helps to get managers thinking from the proper perspective. The map has 2 dimensions. On the horizontal axis, you find the 6 stages of the buyer experience cycle. On the vertical axis, you find the 6 utility levers. The 2 dimensions form a matrix consisting of 36 spaces. We will review one dimension at a time. The first dimension we will review is the 6 stages of the buyer experience cycle on the horizontal axis. A customer's experience passes through 6 basic stages running more or less sequentially from purchase to disposal. Each stage encompasses a wide variety of specific experiences for the customer. The model's authors have identified key questions for each stage to help companies assess the quality of a buyer's experience. These questions may be obvious individually, but they uncover the complete picture of the experience cycle. We review the questions for each stage of the buyer experience cycle individually. The first stage is purchase. The questions in this stage, which help assess the quality for the customer, are: is the place of purchase attractive and accessible? How secure is the transaction environment? How rapidly can you make a purchase? How long does it take to find the product you need? The questions are relevant in almost all types of purchases, whether online shopping at Amazon.com, shopping at the local market, or purchasing a transport with a container from one continent to another. The second stage is delivery. The questions in this stage are: how long does it take to get the product delivered? How difficult is it to unpack and install the new product? The third stage is use. The questions in this stage are: does the product require training or expert assistance? Is the product easy to store when not in use? How effective are the product's features and functions? The fourth stage is supplements. The questions in this stage are: do you need other products and services to make this product work? If so, how costly are they? The fifth stage is maintenance. The questions in this stage are: does the product require external maintenance? How easy is it to maintain and upgrade the product? The sixth and last stage is disposal. The questions in this stage are: does use of the product create waste items? How easy is it to dispose of the product? These 6 stages of the buyer experience cycle were the first dimension of the map. We will review the second dimension, the 6 utility levers, on the vertical axis. There is no particular order of the 6 utility levers. Cutting across the stages of the buyer's experience are the levers of utility, the way companies unlock utility for their customers. Most of the levers are obvious. Simplicity, fun and image, and environmental friendliness need little explanation. Nor does the idea that a product could reduce a customer's financial or physical risks. And a product or service offers convenience simply by being easy to obtain or use. The most commonly used lever, but perhaps the least obvious, is that of customer productivity. Innovation can increase customers' productivity by helping them do their things faster, better, or differently. These 6 utility levers are the second dimension of the map. As mentioned, the 2 dimensions form a matrix of 36 spaces. By locating a new product or service in one of the 36 spaces, management can see how the new idea creates a different utility proposition from existing products or services. It outlines all the levers companies can pull to deliver utility to customers and their different product or service experiences. This lets managers identify the full range of utility propositions that a new product or service can offer. Too often, managers focus on delivering more of the same utility at the same stage of the buyer's experience. That approach may be reasonable in emerging industries, where there's plenty of room for improving a company's current utility proposition. But in many existing industries, this approach is unlikely to produce market-shaping innovations. Let's look instead at how successful innovators have staked out new spaces on the map. We are using a new utility lever at the same stage. Many successful innovations create new expectations for a familiar experience. Starbucks, which has revolutionized the office workers' coffee break, is a case in point. Traditionally, people bought coffee in delis or fast food chain businesses that competed by offering customers fast and cheap coffee. Regarding the map, those companies focused on delivering customer productivity in the purchasing and delivery experience. Quick in and quick out. The speed of the process is of the utmost importance. By establishing chic coffee bars, offering an exotic mix of brews, Starbucks injected fun and cachet into the coffee purchasing experience. As a result, many coffee drinkers have become coffee literate, and coffee bars have become a fixture at pedestrian traffic hubs in many cities. Another possibility is using the same lever in a new stage. Sometimes extending the utility lever where you are good into another place in the experience cycle makes sense. We will stay with the Starbucks example. They have a strong image. We saw this in the last example in the intersection between image and fun versus purchase. They are now selling their products for use at home. Regarding the map, they have used their image to offer and sell supplements. They have extended the utility lever fun and image to the stage supplements. This last possibility is using a new utility lever in a new stage. Sometimes the most rewarding innovation is doing something completely new and changing the game's rules in an industry. Here is an example from the automobile industry. The rules were changed radically when somebody introduced leasing contracts. This removed part of the risk from the customers, as their monthly expenses remained almost constant as maintenance is part of the contract. The risk regarding the loss of value of the car was also disposed. In terms of the map, they reduced the customer's risk. The monthly payment became fixed. At the same time, they moved a long way down the buyer experience cycle as they covered the risk regarding both maintenance and disposal of the car. They extended the business model to use the utility lever risk in maintenance and disposal stages. Finding the suitable space or spaces in the map is not enough. Offering exceptional utility alone doesn't make innovation successful. You must also set the right strategic price. In setting a price, all companies look first at the products and services that closely resemble their idea in terms of form, other products within their industries. That's still a necessary exercise, but market-shaping innovations win by creating new customer pools, not by increasing the share of an existing customer pool. So, the main challenge in determining a strategic price is understanding the price sensitivities of people who will be comparing the new product with a host of very different looking products and services offered by companies outside the group of traditional competitors. To find the right price for your new product, you must first identify the price corridor of the mass, that is, the price bandwidth that captures the largest group of customers. Then, depending on how much legal and resource protection you have, determine how high a price you can set without inviting in competitors with imitation products. You must first analyze if you're placing a product or service in spaces on the map that are either difficult to imitate, relatively easy to imitate, or easy to imitate. The strategic price has to dictate the costs of a new product. By basing your cost targets on the market-driven strategic price and refusing to allow for overruns, you force your organization to question virtually every assumption about materials, design, and manufacturing, often with surprising results. An example is the rise of Apple's smartphone. When Apple introduced the smartphone, it competed with ordinary mobile phones like Nokia, but it also competed with the radio and other devices for transmitting sound. Today, the Apple smartphone replaces almost all forms of information and communication exchange and is very easy to use. For a great number of people around the world, it's Apple or nothing. These are some of the reasons that the brand is one of the most valuable in the world. From the outside, the Apple smartphone is very strong in the stages use, supplement, and maintenance. It also looks like the users value the utility levers simplicity and fun and image. The users have been willing to pay a high price for these levers for years. This is because these 6 spaces are difficult to imitate for competitors. Maybe this is why Apple are against standardization within the industry. We look back at the examples of Starbucks and the automobile industry. It is relatively easy to imitate Starbucks. We are seeing other coffee shops or similar emerging around Starbucks coffee shops. The leasing contract concept in the automobile industry is easy to imitate. Today, it is a standard product everywhere in the industry. Summary of the 3 examples. It appears that if you have the opportunity, place your offerings in a space with a big pool of people willing to pay a high price. Your offering should also be difficult to imitate. Try to place yourself where there is a high entry barrier, such as technologically advanced products or services, patents, customer loyalty, etc. The 3 examples have very different business models. Starbucks is a regular sale. Apple has service contracts and buyback schemes when purchasing a newer smartphone version. The automotive industry is leasing contracts. What price model should you use when entering a new space in the buyer utility map? Which model creates a more significant profit pool? You have to overcome adoption hurdles. Almost by definition, innovations threaten the status quo and, for that reason, often provoke fear and resistance amongst stakeholders. Ignoring their reaction is a big mistake. A company has 3 main stakeholders. The first is employees. Failure to adequately address employees' concerns about an innovation's impact on their livelihoods can be expensive. The second stakeholder is business partners. Potentially even more damaging than employee dissatisfaction is the resistance of partners who fear that a new idea threatens their revenue streams or market positions. The third is the general public. Opposition to innovation can also spread to the general public, especially if the innovation is the result of a technological breakthrough that threatens established social or political norms. An example with artificial intelligence. Suppose you as a company do not articulate how the introduction of artificial intelligence in your company will affect your employees, your partners, and the general public. You may end up with fear and resistance from all three stakeholders. As with most fears, the way to overcome a fear of innovation is by educating the fearful. Criticism of the model. There is no clear definition of the 6 utility levers. Before using the model, the participants must agree on a standard definition of the terms. The model requires a great deal of knowledge and facts about the competitors in the industry. The model requires a great deal of self-criticism of one's strengths and weaknesses. The advantage of the model is that it forces the management to look beyond common practice in the industry, and management must allocate resources to various forms of innovation to stay ahead of the competition. The company must be ready for change.